of attraction. I think this is also one of the laws in which the universe works, just like gravity, right? In many our ancient scriptures, and I was reading Tripura Rahasya, which is an ancient text. So in all these scriptures, these concepts are mentioned. Whatever, however, and in even in Astavakra Gita, there is a verse which says Yamati Sagati Bhavet, which translates to however we keep our mind, such a kind of life we live. And it's very simple to understand also. Like a person with negative tendencies, with a negative personality, with a negative worldview, he sees negativity outside of him, right? Like whoever he sees, he sees immediately. He tries to find a fault in them.
Because today is about Vedanta. We are going to talk about philosophy. We are going to talk about the nature of reality. And for that, we have with us Mr. Sujan Shetty from the channel Advaita. Now, he describes himself as an architect, as a seeker, as an author, and as a student of Vedanta. So, with that, I would like to welcome him on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Namaste. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for accepting our invite. And as I was discussing with you, like in
Yeah.
the pre-podcast, I was going through your channel, and there is a lot of interesting content over there where I find that we have different tangibles. So one interesting video that really caught my eye was that where you have compared Vedanta with the Matrix. So could you
Yeah.
just just elaborate on it a bit, that how did you come up with this interesting idea, and how can we see it?
Yeah. Just to give people the background about Vedanta. So whatever we call Hinduism today, so whatever we call the Sanatana Dharma, if there is any source to it, if there is any, of course, we all know that it is not based on any one prophet, or it is not based on any one book as such. But if we have to say there is a foundation to Sanatana Dharma, it is the Vedas. And the essence of the Vedas, the knowledge portion of the Vedas, the philosophical portion of the Vedas are the Upanishads. And Advaita Vedanta is simply the direct study of these Upanishads and interpretation and teachings of these Upanishads. So, what we are talking about today essentially is the essence of Sanatana Dharma, the foundation of our Hindu culture. So, this is Vedanta. And coming to your point on the Matrix and Vedanta, right? So, actually, more than me comparing it with Vedanta, like I don't think it was my idea or my analysis as such. I think the directors of the movie or the script writers of the movie, they have been inspired by Vedantic teachings, because even at the end of the movie, after the credits, they have used the you know shlokas of Upanishads as it is in Sanskrit. So this concept of what is described as Maya in Vedanta, right? There are different concepts in Vedanta which we can go into. So I think the movie itself is inspired by the teachings of Vedanta. So maybe that, most probably, because they have even used the Sanskrit verses at the end. And I think once I started studying the teachings of Vedanta, I found striking similarities, with that movie and many different concepts. So I started, we started making content around that also.
That's very humble of you to say that, and that's very interesting as well. Now, there's one question that comes up to my mind, like the way you
Hmm.
have gone into different topics on your channel and the way you have explained different things. It
Hmm.
requires quite a lot of study and application of mind to do that, to arrive at that conclusion or to understand these texts. How did you get into studying the our own holy scriptures, which is really great? How did you start on this journey of your seeking, if I can call it?
Uh, Yeah. So from my childhood, like I think we are all curious about the nature of reality, right? Like, why are we here? What is the purpose of life? Like basically what are we doing here? I think all of us ask these questions when we are young, but what happens is once we grow up and once we get busy with life, these questions sort of fade away to the background, right? We just simply ignore them, or we don't think about them. So that kind of curiosity about the nature of reality was always there for me, at least. And I started, actually Vedanta was not the first thing that I came across. So when I was in college, I actually started studying various positive self-help books, and based on law of attraction, this reality transurfing. So at first I started looking for answers in the west, in the books written by western authors, western philosophies, like that. But eventually I came to Vedanta. Like in my search, I came across some teachers and some books on Vedanta. But once I began to study it, and little by little, when once I started understanding this, I soon came to a realization that there is nothing beyond this. Whatever the irony is, me being in India, and me being a Hindu, and being born in a very orthodox cultural family, I didn't have access to these this kind of knowledge. So all of us, like most of us, don't know about these scriptures and all that. Like we just do a part, the devotion, puja, maybe such things go on in our families. But philosophically we don't go into it, most of us. So once I came to this Vedanta, right, like once I started understanding this, then everything else started to make sense from this perspective. I could understand what those Western philosophies were talking about, etc. So um, like something within me said that this is the path for me, and this is the ultimate teaching that there is. So after that I started getting more and more into it.
That's very interesting because something that has stood the test of time, something
Hmm.
that has stood the test of geography, if we can say that, because our own country, India, is spread across a very large expanse, even if we
Yeah.
talk in terms of area, and
Yeah.
if we talk in terms of culture and different practices. Like, I
Hmm.
like to travel, and whenever I travel to the different parts, there are
Hmm.
so many nuances, yet a strange thread that holds us all together. And these
Yeah.
philosophies have really stood the test of time. Now,
Yeah.
I describe myself as a student of philosophy. I like to learn about it.
Okay. Okay.
How important do you think having a philosophy in life is, or rather, how important it is to have the right philosophy? Because I believe that we all have some kind of philosophy in our life, even if we acknowledge that as philosophy or not.
Hmm. Correct. Um, yeah. Like choosing the right philosophy when it comes to this is the difference between every other religion and every other school of thought across the world, and Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism, right? In Hinduism, this is we cannot even call Hinduism a religion, because this does not impose anything on us. Like even the atheists were part of the Sanatana Dharma in the past, the Charvakas. So, and even there is no particular book, there is no particular deity, there is no particular ritual that you have to do if you are a Hindu. This is the most significant thing about Hinduism, but this has also kind of become a limitation, because of this we are not able to define what Sanatana Dharma is. So I think the purpose, like when I think when you say how important is it to have a philosophy in life, I think if you're referring to a spiritual journey, or something like that, or are you talking about life in general?
Can I add something? Uh,
Hello.
my basic question is
Ah.
basically how I define philosophy as a layman is I have some sort
Hmm.
of beliefs about everything in life. uh,
Hmm.
starting from the creation of this whole reality to the way that things
Hmm.
are supposed to be in order. And that is what I
Yeah,
consider like for me a bit of philosophy. So that is where I'm coming from. Yes.
got it. So, first of all, what all of us should recognize is that reality, whatever we experience and whatever we perceive, this is not absolute. So the every religion has pointed towards this. Like every religion, every culture, everything has said that there is something beyond this, and seeking that is the purpose of life, as per, whether it is Sanatana Dharma or any other religion. Seeking whatever you call it, whether God or that pure consciousness, that infinite self, whatever it is, seeking that is the main purpose of life as per the Sanatana Dharma. And to do that, you can adapt many like a particular philosophy which is most compatible to you. So, uh, and the basic thing about this is to live a joyful and fulfilled life. So everyone wants this. Like nobody can say I don't want joy, I don't want fulfillment, right? So to live a joyful life, what is the best philosophy that I can accommodate, and what is the best framework, with which I can live my life? So to do this, there are many paths. There are many philosophies that Sanatana Dharma provides: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and then there is Vedanta, yoga, Sankhya, Tantra. So there are various paths, but the ultimate destination is the same. But based on our tendencies and our preferences, we can choose a philosophy that is most compatible to us. So this was the kind of a culture that there was in the past. But right now, I don't think anybody is consciously choosing a philosophy or a path or anything like that. We are simply living unconscious lives. I don't think most of us are choosing any philosophy as such consciously. We are living unconsciously. So, yeah. But if we have to shift towards conscious living, then we'll have to consciously choose something which makes sense to us and through which we can progress.
I mean, this is very interesting, and I would like your comments on something. I feel like you have very rightly said that we are living our life unconsciously. And what I
Hmm.
understand from that is we have certain beliefs, some
Hmm.
unquestioned beliefs,
Hmm.
and some patterns in life with which we are constantly going through the cycles of life without even questioning that what path that these patterns or these beliefs or this thought process is leading us to. And for me personally, I myself found solace in the concept of Purusharth. And I am not aware that whether that comes under Vedanta, but for me, like Purusharth, and I would like to describe it here a bit.
Yeah.
Like in Purusharth, there are four different, let's say, spheres of life of Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha, which ultimately helps one to lead a balanced life, a life which is aligned to your personal prakriti, which I would like you to, comment upon, and your
Yeah.
dharma and everything. And when I find for my own self that whenever I have consciously tried to live that life, I am the most happy or the most fulfilled rather. I don't know whether happy is the right word. So what do you think about the concept of Purusharth as such?
Yeah. So the concept of the four Purusharthas that you said, right? It comes in Vedanta also, and many philosophies adopt this. Basically, these are the concepts that we derive from Vedas. And the fundamental premise is, as per Vedanta, the Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We need to give importance to the order in which it is said. So the first thing is Dharma. Once we if we take care of dharma the right way, whatever is our responsibility, whatever is our duty, and our purpose in this life, if we take care of that in the right way, then artha, kama, and moksha, the wealth, the desires, and liberation or enlightenment. The other three will take care of itself. So this is how it is said in Vedanta. So this is why, like, whoever comes in Sanatana Dharma, right, all the heroic figures, whether it is Rama, Krishna, all of them, what what they symbolize and what they show us is to practice dharma. They don't uh, they don't signify anything much beyond that. Even if we look at the life of Sri Rama, right, like, it's not like he was the most powerful emperor in the world or anything like that. It's not like he had a huge army or anything like that, but still, after millions of years, we still worship him. The only reason is he followed dharma. Whatever was his purpose, his responsibility, he did it in the right way. So, and yeah, and the another point is, when it comes to purusharthas, none of the things that we do, right, you know people tend to demonize money when it comes to spirituality, and people tend to demonize wealth, and it kind of has a negative connotation to it. But it was never like that in the past. If we look at the history of India, India was one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Not one of the it was the wealthiest country, in terms of finances, in terms of culture, social structure. In every way, it was the wealthiest country. So, dharma and artha, the desires that we have, and artha is wealth, kama is the desires. All of these, like, there needs to be a balance. Of course, we should not be obsessed by it, and we should not be taken over by greed. But to have a balance in everything was actually, encouraged. It was not, even to pursue like, even if we are pursuing spirituality, it's not that we need to give up anything. So this was the point of the purusharthas. It's that these are all simply the attainments of life, but we should not be attached to them. It's not that we need to give up everything, but we need to be detached from them. This was the point.
Um, and this is again very a very interesting tangent per se, that you don't have to abandon anything. But maybe what
Yeah.
I find is that when you walk your, I won't use the word dharma, but if you try to find yourself, like you describe yourself as a seeker, I kind of try to be a wannabe seeker. So when we are walking the path of this seeking of our own selves, the first thing I think that happens is the shedding of what is not required. Like there is a lot of thought process, a lot of things that we gain, while we are living, while we are on this planet, and that doesn't suits us, towards our evolution. I think that the first thing that happens there is shedding of these thoughts. Now, you have also written a book called
Yeah.
Decoding God.
Yeah.
And so first, would you like to tell us that what can we find in this book, and what is your perception towards the word God? What does it stands for you?
Yeah. Coming to the point of the book, like we were talking about before the call, right? So these concepts are there in the ancient Upanishads: the point of life, the purpose of life, what is God. So all these are there, but the language in which it is there is inaccessible to many in today's world, right? The language that we use, the kind of examples that were given, all of these things, it was given, it was done at that time. Although the knowledge itself is evergreen, so it will last for, it is eternal. That is why we call it Sanatana Dharma. It never dies. But my point of writing a small book was to simplify it, and put it in a language that is accessible to the people of our generation and people of today. So to bring it with my own interpretation. So I also want to make it clear here that, like, whatever I'm talking about is my understanding and my interpretation. So I don't want anyone to take it as a direct thing that is coming, because it is being filtered through my mind. So
Yeah. So, uh, This brings me to my next point. What do you think about our karma, as we call it in Hindi, or karma, as we say it, and
Mhm,
and this whole in this whole cosmological dance that is
mhm,
going on, the Maya, or the how the world operates. So, how do you find that karma fits into this whole
mhm.
cosmological world of ours?
Yeah, yeah. Now we come to a point, like it depends on how deep you want to go. But basically, the coming to Advaita Vedanta, right? Like what the philosophy that I'm studying right now, and I'm interested in the book. My book, everything is about Advaita Vedanta. Our YouTube channel, everything is about that. So the fundamental premise of Advaita Vedanta is three things. This was said by Adi Shankaracharya. He says, I can sum up the teachings of all the Vedas and all the Upanishads in one sentence, and that is Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya, Jiva Brahma Eva Napara. So in this verse, he's saying three things. One is Brahma Satya. There is one truth. Call it God, call it consciousness, call it whatever you want. There is one truth. Jagat Mithya. The world as we see it is an appearance. It's neither real nor unreal. It's an appearance. And jiva brahmaiva napara, this means you, the jiva, you and me, are one with that infinite consciousness or God. So this is Advaita. There is Advaita literally means non-duality, which means there is one without the other. There is simply one absolute reality in existence, and everything else, all the duality that we perceive, the way I am perceiving you right now as someone who is separate from you, is simply an illusion. There is absolute unity in this existence. This is the fundamental premise of Advaita Vedanta. And you coming back to your question, what did you ask?
I said that in this whole cosmological universe, how do you view karma, and
Karma.
how does it helps to, as we
Yeah, yeah.
say, to with the wheel of time,
Yeah,
and how
yeah.
we go about
So,
things?
yeah, I was coming to that. Yeah. So, how reality is explained in Advaita Vedanta is there are three theories. We'll talk about, but I think that will take time. So, I'll just give you my theory. I call it the unified theory on reality. This is just something that I came up, like my interpretation of Vedantic teachings.
Definitely, definitely.
So imagine before the creation of the universe, there was there was obviously no universe as such, but there was something very subtle which we cannot talk about, which we cannot conceive with our minds, which we cannot see, which we cannot talk about. In Kenopanishad it is explained like this, that Brahman is that which cannot be seen but which enables us to see, that which cannot be perceived but which enables perception, that which cannot be talked about but which enables us to talk. So basically there was something, something, call it, in simple terms, let's call it God. Or in Advaita Vedanta we call it pure consciousness. It is something very subtle. It's not matter, but it is a pure intelligence that existed before the creation of the universe. And the entire universe, whatever however we see it today, it's a it's an appearance in it. So within that, so since before the creation of the universe, there was nothing else apart from that pure consciousness. Whatever came into being could be nothing apart from that pure consciousness. Since there was only one substance, whatever comes from it cannot be anything apart from that one substance, right? So basic logic, and whatever appears cannot be outside of that, because there was no outside or inside. There was just one intelligence, one substance. Although it's not a substance, but for the sake of communication, let's call it a substance. So within that one substance the universe emerged, the universe appeared. because of Maya. They say Maya is simply the creative potential of that consciousness, and the universe appeared to be. And after that, we can simply refer to science, how science explains the big, the creation of the universe, whether it is Big Bang. So there was, let's simply, for the simplification of it, let's say there was a Big Bang, and then the universe started expanding. Then there were different stars, galaxies, etc. And all the so the movement that is happening, right? So the expansion of the universe, and after that, the planets cools down, then water comes into picture, then micro beings come into picture, then evolution and natural selection. So from that evolution, whatever the Darwin's theory and the theory of natural selection, whatever the science explains, that is karma. That's all. The memory that we have, the memory that every organism has within itself, right? Within its DNA, within its cells, we hold a lot of memory, right? Like uh, from evolution, through whatever we have gathered through evolution and through different births. So this memory is karma. And yeah, basically this was this is how I understand through, in my own way, the creation of the universe. And and the point that I was coming to is, now right now, we can see the universe all around us. So it's very dynamic, and there is a lot of duality. There is infinite number of variety in this universe, in terms of species, in terms of within the human species, the types of, the different races, different religions. We all look a different way. But the fundamental thing that we need to go back to, like based on the teachings of Vedanta, is, since in at the beginning there was only one, all that has come from it, right? All the things that we can see all around us, although it is, we are perceiving it as something apart, although we are perceiving duality, this is simply an illusion as per Vedanta. So that pure substance that was there before, that is the only thing that still exists. And this is just like a dream, this is just like a dream experience. So it is not completely unreal, but this is not completely real also. And karma is basically, in my understanding, is just the data that we have, which keeps us going in this illusion, from one birth to another birth. All the actions that we perform, and all the things that we do, there is a system within us, there is a subtle body which we call the mind, which remembers all this. And because of this, it creates a momentum, and it takes us in a certain direction. And once we give up this physical body, we'll move on to a next physical body based on this momentum. So yeah, this is karma.
This is very beautiful. I mean, the last part, I think that is very comprehensible for like in the modern day language. Not that it
Yeah,
was not comprehensible before. Like the word you use, momentum.
yeah,
How
yeah,
I would see karma is a sort of an impression,
yeah.
a sort of an impression of our own deeds and our own emotions
Correct.
and how we perceive the world. That is how I try to understand of karma. That's how I view it.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
one thing you very rightly said is that maybe this world, this appearance is an illusion. Because sometimes I find that there is an objective reality. There is this earth where gravitation works, that you can, if you fall down, then you will fall down and then you
yeah,
could cause yourself serious damage. There are laws of nature which are operating. No one can deny that. But towards those laws and the events that are happening in and around those laws, we always have a way of looking at things, maybe, and where that way of looking at things come from is from the inside. So maybe I'm right now I'm feeling very happy, so the same event won't, I won't react to it much. I would just let it go, shrug it off. And if I'm not in that vibration, as vibes as we call it nowadays, and if I'm not in those vibes, I may seriously react to it. So, how this brings me to one of the concepts that is very prevalent nowadays, and that is law of attraction and manifestation. And I'm just asking that how, what's your perception that how do you view law of attraction and how do you view manifestation? What is your perception towards it?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said before, this is what I was mostly interested in before I came to Vedanta. Actually, I was reading a lot of books. I was studying a lot of teachers. I basically from a even from a decade ago, and when I was young, I just wanted to know whether are we in control of our destiny, or are we victims of our destiny? Is everything fixed? So this was very interesting for me. Now with respect to Vedanta, right, like you said, there is gravity, there is different laws in which the universe,
Heat,
with which the
whatever is, yeah,
functions. So
yeah.
Vedanta doesn't deny any of that. So what the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta tells us is that there is something beyond this. There is, of course, there is this earth that you're, and this plane of experience that you are going through right now. But now we'll just cover this a little bit, and then we'll come to law of attraction.
Sure, sure,
Uh,
no
so,
issues, please.
so yeah, how Vedanta explains is like, now imagine you are in a dream, right? You have slept and you are within your dream, and within your dream you are perceiving a world. You are, let's say, we are having this conversation within your dream, right? And you think that whatever you're experiencing within the dream, when you are within the dream, you think that it is real. So it seems like there is there are certain laws to that reality as well, and you think that whoever is outside of you has their own independent existence. Like, let's say there are trees and animals, the world, etc. Within your dream you will think that they, all of them, have their own independent existence apart from you. But once you wake up, we realize that it was all a projection within our mind. So it was all created by the mind itself. So there was no me, there was no you, there was no people around, anything like that. It was all created by your mind. So it's sort of similar how Vedanta explains this waking world. Although this world has its own laws, it appears to be real, and and it is not unreal also. We are experiencing this, but there is an other higher reality. So that is what we need to aspire to be. We need to go beyond this, simply to come out of suffering. So it's not without a cause that the scriptures are asking us to seek this path. They're simply telling us that if you want to bypass, if you want to go beyond suffering, and if you want to go beyond fear and pain, then you need to transcend this reality. And coming to the aspect of law of attraction, I think this is also one of the laws in which the universe works, just like gravity, right? In many our ancient scriptures, and I was reading Tripura Rahasya, which is an ancient text. So in all these scriptures, these concepts are mentioned. Whatever, however, and in even in Astavakra Gita, there is a verse which says, Yamati Sagati Bhavet, which translates to, however we keep our mind, such a kind of life we live. And it's very simple to understand also. Like a person with negative tendencies, with a negative personality, with a negative worldview, he sees negativity outside of him, right? Like whoever he sees, he sees immediately, so he tries to find a fault in them. And he will have such an experience inside also. So since he's always finding negativity, his internal state of being is also negative. And the same thing applies for a positive person. And the thing is, the as we go on living this way, we create a certain kind of life for ourselves. A positive person creates a positive life, with with positive relationships, with positive businesses. Whatever he takes up, it goes in a positive direction. So this is what law of attraction is about, and it is very self evident, I think.
I cannot speak for
Hmm.
anyone else, but for me, I find whatever you said is quite true. Like
Yeah.
as I was saying it earlier, that whenever I am feeling very happy, and there are like times of the year, I don't know, maybe I don't like winters or some cloudy stuff like that. So whenever it's dark, I
Hmm.
don't feel very good. Although I belong to a
Yeah.
state that is healing, that is an oxymoron,
Yeah.
but that is there.
Uh,
So whenever I'm not in a very jolly mood, let's say, so the events in and around me would somehow pan out in a way that would further
yeah.
my already state of being, my state of
Yeah.
being that was there initially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I'm good in a good mood, and if I'm feeling happy about my own self, and if I'm in a jolly mood, I won't say jolly, but I mean in a blissful state
Hmm.
with my own self, then suddenly I will meet people who are, let's say, very helpful, who are very amicable, who, that kind of experiences. So sometimes I feel within my own self that whether this thing is emanating from the outside, or is it me that, who is leading, or as we were discussing about transurfing the reality.
Yeah.
Do you feel that one can experience a fundamentally different reality while living here? Have
Uh,
you
no,
experienced something, fundamentally
no, I
different
think
about viewing things? Yeah,
like I think all of us, like individually, all of us are experiencing sort of our own world. Like although obviously we are looking at the same sunrise, we are looking at the same sunset, we are looking at the same traffic. Now, if we look at the world around us, right? Someone is very joyful, and he's listening to music and is playing in the car, and someone is very miserable in the car. So I think all of us are within our own worlds that we have created for ourselves. So it doesn't, the sun is same, the moon is same, the sunrise is same, but someone enjoys the sunrise and someone is irritated. So I think, yeah, it come this when through our internal state we create the life that we live. So it is, I think, very important to acknowledge this and create a positive internal state.
I think the good thing and a difficult thing with this is that it shifts the onus of responsibility to you.
Hmm.
Instead of deriving emotions from, let's say, outside, now the onus of feeling something regarding any objective reality lies with you. So it becomes all the more difficult, but liberating as well. And I think that is
Yeah.
where the whole free will and destiny
Hmm.
interaction, the interplay between the destiny and free will comes into play. We have touched upon it, but uh,
Hmm.
do you think that, our the way we with the way our state of being can somehow lead to a different path in this
Yeah.
path of
So
destiny?
yeah, yeah. When it comes to this conversation, right, like the free will and the destiny, whether we
Yeah,
have a choice or whether it is all fixed, I look at it in from three perspectives, right? Like all of this, once we look at it deeply, we need to understand it from different perspectives. From this normal perspective, for a person who is unconscious, like we discussed earlier, the karma, the momentum of karma will take them in a certain direction. So already a certain direction for our lives would be created for each and every one of us, the way I understand, because of our prarabdha karma, which is the karma that we bring to this life. So based on that, we all already have a certain path set for us, and we already have a set destination for us. So this will be the default path for many of the people, because conscious most of us live unconsciously. So this is the situation for most of us. But those who want to go beyond karma, those who want to change their life, those who want to consciously create their life, can absolutely change it. So that provision is also there. So in that way, from that perspective, from the second perspective, there is free will, because through conscious living we can come out of our tendencies, and we can create a positive self image, we can create a positive worldview, positive self view, and we can set goals, we can work hard, and we can achieve whatever we want in our lives. So this is going beyond karma. But then from another perspective, from the highest perspective of Advaita Vedanta, from the absolute perspective, there is no duality itself, right? Like I said earlier, there is the duality itself that we are perceiving is because we are in this lower reality. From that absolute point of view, there is no universe as such. So again, there is no free will from the absolute perspective. So there are different, perspective, but for most of us, we need to understand that wherever we are, it is because of our own actions, and it is our own responsibility, and we can definitely change it. So that much I can say.
Yeah, because the way conscious creation, as we say, goes about thing, uh, it's again a very profound concept, and it's sometimes can be very disorienting as well. Because you have, as we were discussing, we have so much of information on our hands today that sometimes
Yeah,
we cannot understand that how to go
yeah.
about things. And I was
Yeah.
going through your other work, so you help people with different things. And would you like to describe about that? That how do you help people with the different teachings and all that?
uh, so I think you're referring to the community that we have.
Yeah, your community, yes.
Haha, yeah. So basically, yeah, like I was talking about earlier, I started, creating content. Initially, I just wanted to try it out, and I started making some content because I was very passionate about studying it and sharing it. And as we were growing, we started a small newsletter, and then we started a small community. So this is still in the initial stages. So my plan and vision is to build a private community platform that we call the Advaita Conscious Society, where we can go deeper into these concepts, and we can go more into conscious living, and people whoever is interested, like to go beyond their tendencies, and who want to consciously design their life the way they want to live, and the different tools, different resources that is needed. So we are creating a platform for that, a community come learning platform.
That's a very great effort, and I think that would
Yeah,
really help people with getting a basic understanding of things, and as well as with your book, getting a
yeah,
basic primer of, because that philosophy is too profound. Uh,
yeah,
it, it's too profound. I cannot think of any other word to just
yeah.
limit it with one thing, but at least
Yeah,
one
and
can get a yeah.
whatever we talk, like however we try to put it, right? Like whatever words I use, whatever we say about it, will not make will not we are not we cannot point towards it in the right way. So it is too much beyond the scope of language itself. But the Upanishads, the ancient Upanishads, this is what I love about our culture. In how many ever ways that knowledge can be, given to us, in different through different stories, through different anecdotes. So it has all been done through Adi Guru Shankaracharya and the rishis before that. So they have given this knowledge in 100 different ways, and I think it's our job to go deep into them and understand them to transform our lives.
Uh, you rightly said, we will always be limited by the language that we use to
Yeah,
describe something that is beyond space, time, language, and anything
yeah,
physical or metaphysical for that
yeah.
matter that we know. Like you were using that word substance initially, and we both know that that is
It's
something
not a
that
substance.
that transcends the whole material reality. So substance
Yeah,
is not the right word, but we as humans, we need something to have a reference
correct.
with. So that
Yeah.
is great. And
First,
thanks a
first of
lot
all,
for
there is
this. Yeah, yeah,
first of all
please,
there is a
please.
limitation of language, and then there is a limitation. There is the limitation of our own minds and our own understanding. So there are a lot of, but it is just that we need to begin the effort, to start understanding that.
And I think your videos on your YouTube channel, they're quite descriptive of this. I was going through those videos and it was very explanatory. And the way even you explained the part of how we view things in our dreams. So
Haha.
that
Yeah.
is very
Yeah,
fundamental.
that's
That
a
is very
very good example to understand Advaita Vedanta. So what Advaita Vedanta is tells us, just to complete that example, it's simply this: just like in our dreams, there is a mind that had created the entire dream world, and yourself within the dream. Everything was the creation of the mind, right? Just like this, in this world also, there is someone called God. There is a pure consciousness within which the entire world has emerged, and right now you think that you are this individual identity who is separate from that absolute reality, but this is not the case. Ultimately, when once you investigate this, and once you know, through meditation, through shravana, manana, nididhyasana, these are three steps that are given in Vedanta. But ultimately, what we call enlightenment or realization is simply the first hand experience of us experiencing our true nature as what it is, as that absolute reality, going beyond this individual identity. So with the dream example, it gives a clear picture of what Advaita Vedanta is trying to say.
again with the limitation of language. Can we kind of
Hmm.
say that we are part of that absolute reality experiencing our own self or the absolute reality itself? Can
Yeah,
we
yeah,
kind
it's
of
like,
say?
yeah, it's just like once we sleep, right? We no longer within our dream. We forget that we are sleeping on a bed. We think that we are that small dream ego which is having the dream experience, but we are actually sleeping somewhere outside of the dream. It's similar to this, but of course, this again is just an example. So this is not to say reality is exactly like this, but there is an absolute reality within which the universe has emerged, and we are that absolute reality. So that is what Vedanta is.
Wow. I mean, it's so
Yeah, yeah,
blissful to
empowering.
discuss.
Just yeah, yeah, just imagine, like just imagine what Ashtavakra says in Ashtavakra Gita is, you are not within the universe itself is within you. So you are not, you and me are not this body, this limited mind, this limited personalities that we have identified ourselves with, but we are that infinite God itself. It is not, the scriptures do not say that we are similar to God. It does not say that we are part of God or anything like that. Advaita Vedanta directly says Tattvamasi, you are it. So you are God. This is the true meaning of Aham Brahmasmi. So when we say Aham Brahmasmi, it is literal. So literally, each and every one of us are are actually that infinite consciousness or God. But because of an illusion, just like how we dream, unconsciously, we are unconsciously living our lives like these individuals right now.
Yep. I mean, it's
Hmm.
actually very empowering to
Yeah,
to
just
and and again, yeah, you're
even to
saying
think about it, it is empowering. Yeah,
empowering and quite it's full of responsibility to think that whatever
yeah,
you are. I mean, whatever there
yeah,
is, that is you. And I don't know,
yeah,
maybe it's quite
yeah.
poetic to say that, but we
Yeah,
used to say it's very
everything is you.
difficult to comprehend.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying something? Did I interrupt you?
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
Okay. And thanks a
Mm.
lot for coming on the podcast and explaining so
Yeah, sure.
many different, interesting concepts